Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Apocrypha, not Satan and Coffee. Uh, I hope everyone is doing well. We have a full house tonight. So we've got Maeve hiding the bodies back there.
Yes.
We've got Mystic for air traffic control.
His lightsabers.
Yeah, we've got Melvin, Crimson Mel. We've got Dyra and obviously myself, Adius Dade. We got everybody. Everybody's here. So it is good.
Okay, let's get my mom on as well. She's here.
Yep. Dyra's mom's in the house, literally. So you know, it's been interesting.
She's not in the house. She's in the house, right?
Yeah, in the house. Like, yeah, we don't have her in the dog. She's not locked outside or anything. You know.
That's good. That's very good.
I am drinking non-alcoholic beer tonight. So like
Sugar-free Coke.
Oh, like so you're actually drinking, aren't you, Maeve?
No, just sugar-free Coke. Sugar-free Coke. That's it.
Oh,
Nothing
okay.
else.
Sugar-free Coke. Like okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm having my kratom tea, my K
There you
tea.
go. There you go.
Dude.
I
Although-
just had apple juice like
I
2
do
hours.
have tea in this cup here.
That's one of my old designs.
Yes, it is. This is why I'm drinking from it.
That's amazing. I love that thing.
I was wearing an old hoodie that I got from that has a hole in it.
Uh,
Did I ever tell you all the time that I had to get on a 10-hour deposition, and Brad made me coffee while we were getting started with the legal team, and I hold up my coffee to drink, and it's the Black Rifle Company with AK-47 on the front of it.
no.
I'm like, I can't drink out of this. Frick, that reminded me of that.
So as always, even though tonight's subject is a sensitive one, we're going to go pretty deep into this. We're still going to talk about some of the doubts and questions that there are, but that's not going to be the focus like it was last time, because we did get some information from a trustworthy source, and that source being Scarlett Bales. Scarlett is someone that I personally trust. So if Scarlett says something, and Scarlett, it's enough information for Scarlett to believe, you know, something, and she brings that to the community, then I'm not going to question it. At least, you know, not like we were. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. But before we do that, as always, we're going to focus on Mystic here. And he's going to whip his deck out for us.
Not a big deck today. My
That's
apologies. It's a little deck. It's a deck that fits in your hand very nice.
That's all you really need.
That's all you need.
Just the
It's
tip.
He left
an
the
interesting
deck
read.
pump at home, so you know.
So I don't have the book or the box for it because I'm using it to prop up my camera a little bit right now since we're out. But it's a commentary of Wisdom from the Dragons. People have heard of it before. I'm sure it's pretty popular. First of all, blah blah blah. But one of my more favorite decks that I just haven't used in a long time. But anyway, the 3 cards I pulled tonight. Start off pretty rough. I know a lot of people, when you pull the tower, it was like, oh, the tower's scary. There's all this stuff. This is the scary card to me. 10 of Swords. In the most singular phrase I can give you, if everything could go wrong, it will. So the energy that we're running into, because remember, this is an energy read. It's not meant to be for anybody specifically. We're running up against a lot of obstacles all at once. When I read this from my steampunk tarot, my personal tarot, I always get the feeling of you can see the end right there, just out of reach, and you can't get to it. And that's sad, and it's frustrating, and it's not good. And we get very depressed about it. So this brings in feelings of depression. The Ten of Swords brings in feelings of failure, things that we're not able to create. But you have to remember that things that we want sometimes don't happen for a reason, because there might be something else better around it. And what's really cool about the read tonight is the second card was the Page of Swords. Pages represent across the board for me hope and the starting of something new and being excited about it. And in this page, we're seeing our little butterfly friend up there, which generally represents the idea of the other world or the ethereal world. Somebody's visiting us, maybe a soul. But the page is kind of like I'm feeling good. I'm ready to do this thing. So if we go from this energy that we're kind of walking into of things aren't going to go well, if we remember that there's something better that's for us that's coming, then we can bring in the page of sword energy. Kind of think of it as like being fire, but bringing in air. Think to put processes through it. And then finally, we have the sire on. So in the Dragon Tarot, the sire is the king. And what I love about this particular one, there's a little baby dragon in there. So the Sire of Wands, when we think of wands, you think of like fire and control and the just all out pure fire energy. What we're getting from this particular Sire of Wands is, I will take the hard road, but I'm taking the hard road because I'm showing you, my child, what needs to happen. So from an energy perspective, Sire of Wands is like, we need to learn something. We need to pay attention. We're going to have a hard lesson. Being that two of the cards are swords and one of them is wands, we have a mind thing. This is something that's in our head, something that we have to think through, that we have to work through, some challenges that we have to figure out. But that's a really good progression. We didn't end on the Ten of Swords. If we ended on the Ten of Swords, I would be very worried, but we're starting out there. We're starting out with that thing needing to change. We're moving into the page energy, just having some hope and some things to bring us back into the fold. To remember, when the thing that you need doesn't happen, one of two things has happened. Either you really didn't need it, or you didn't need it enough to make it happen, because we're kind of in control of that. And then we're going to round out the energy of the next week with the Sire of Wands. You know, we learn something from it, we grow from it, we pass those things on to the people around us and make it a win and not a fail. So that's our cards for today.
Very good. Like, as always, very accurate to what I got going on, which is, I don't know how you do it, man, but you always seem to like hit the nail on the fucking head with my life.
That's what nails are for. We're not hitting them on the head. We're hitting our thumb or the wall, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
This is a really good deck, just for the record, for anybody that wants to read tarot and isn't really good into it or brand new to it. The Tarot of Dragons it's a really good deck to read.
Yeah, it's
You can
cute.
tell what's going on in the cards. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like it.
So, here, can you?
Do you want me to?
Yeah, you take over because you can't do what I'm doing.
Okay,
I think
how do you
Adius
want-
broke.
Well, I mean, what we're talking about tonight.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously, as Atius mentioned in a post a few days ago, we want to talk about what's been going on with Anima Noira.
Mhm.
Last week we spoke about, you know, how we weren't really sure about what's happened, and you know, a lot of unanswered questions. We do have some more clarity about it, but also some questions, and we want to talk about you know, mental health as well, and how important it is to take care of our mental health as cultists. And so yeah, should I pass over to Melvin first?
Yeah, I would say Melvin's probably the next logical choice to carry this on. I mean, you knew her probably better than any of
us. Yeah.
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 100%.
Well, I have to say, I'm still not 100% sure she's gone. Maybe it's not wanting to accept things, or it's just still, to me, it's surrounding circumstances that are odd. And I was speaking with someone a couple of days ago, and they were telling me some stuff about Nora that I absolutely did not know. And I didn't realize that she was actually as lonely as she was, like really isolated, lonely. And this isn't the isolation where it's, I just want to be away from people and practice myself. This was no one accepts me type of isolation. And that messes your head up. And imagine not being accepted by the very people you trust and you see in this community that you want to be a part of or you were a part of, and it just messes you up. And it's wild to me because I really had no idea it was like that. And now it's one of those things where it's like, why didn't you reach out? It's just but you can't change the past. You can learn from it, not repeat mistakes in the future. As far as my doubts, well, this is going to sound real odd, but in a strange way, I think Anima, whether it's real, fake, whatever, that's besides the point. I think she would actually get a kick out of this because it's a mystery that surround. Oh my God, I'm getting choked up. What the heck? I don't get choked
It's
up. Stop
okay.
it. It's a mystery that's like here, and she liked being mysterious, and
Mhm.
she just liked being that unknown enigma. And the fact that this is surrounding her, she would get a kick out of. And yeah, can just someone else go for a minute. Just
Yeah. It's funny. I was actually talking a little bit today about how lonely and isolating it can be for people. You know, whether you're left-hand path or whether you're, wherever you are in, the occult or spirituality, there are definitely, like, loneliness is definitely a part of it, I feel. And knowing how to navigate that and ensuring that we're supported can be really difficult. Not everyone has access to people that support them. I feel like I've been really lucky in that department. And in many ways, in terms of like connections that I've made, and it can also consist of spiritual crisis, feeling lost and not really knowing where you are. So yeah, I definitely have a level of empathy for that feeling of loneliness. And it sounds like, through the amount of traveling she was doing and stuff, it must have been really difficult, like not knowing people, not feeling, grounded or at home anywhere. So yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, in the limited contact that I had with Anima, she never struck me as somebody that would kind of like let things get to her to this level. But I guess that's the thing, right? Is the ones that you believe would be least affected by their mental health are the ones that are probably the most affected by their mental health.
I feel like she also had a lot of pride as well, and not like in a bad way. Like the image that she had built of herself was very strong, very independent. And I suppose she probably, I mean, I'm making an assumption here, but upholding that image might make someone feel like it's difficult to be vulnerable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's a good way of putting it because she did create a persona, and it was more than that, but it was her life. And you if the persona goes, the person goes. And then what do you have? You know, it's already tough enough when you don't have anything and you're, like you said, traveling around, going from place to place like a nomad with just nothing of your own except for your work, your persona, and how people perceive you, even though it may not be the truth, it may not be what's really going on. And even then, that takes a lot of energy and it can beat you down, you know, just putting on an act for someone. I'm not saying she was acting because she did believe what she preached and practiced. So that's legit, but it's tiring.
Mystic, thoughts, feelings?
So I only interacted with her, I think, directly 2 times, and I think I shared last week and before that both his interactions were pretty positive. I enjoyed the conversation. I'll just to keep it focused on that and not on everything else. There's just so much noise surrounding so many things that you learn and you remember that don't matter when it comes to something like this, because in the end, the one thing we say that's true for all of us is that we're born and we die. And we try to make the time in between really work for us. And sometimes I think not sometimes, but often we get to a point where the time in between just becomes really rough. Um, I had close friends. One of my first tattoos, not my very first, but one of them is a tattoo that's in remembrance of somebody who committed suicide. So feeling or knowing, and a very happy person outwardly, feeling or knowing that somebody is in those situations after the fact is always different. So there's always often a feeling of guilt, like, why didn't you reach out? Why didn't we call? Why didn't it's none of that? None of that is anything you can do anything with. The only thing we can do something about is to work together to stop gossiping, stop talking about people in certain ways, and work towards, shutting down some of the conversations that are pretty rampant in the occult, myself included. I'm in that bucket. It's easy to talk about people when things happen, and I think it's just a matter of what do you do now. It's our next step as individuals in the occult, and that is to still remember the person as an individual, as a human, as somebody who was valuable, regardless of what other people thought. And I think that's just important for us to consider moving on and now, like, talk about these things, and that it's not just a reaction to when something. I think a lot of people feel that level of loneliness. Luckily for us, for many of us, it's transient. We have people that bring us back, and it sounds like there are enough people out there that do not have that somebody to anchor them back. And a lot of us can choose to be that person if we pay attention. So I think that's one of the things that I am often reminded when I hear I'm involved in situations. And I didn't even know her personally, but it just reminds me that, everybody needs that anchor, somebody to kind of pull them in when there's no hope, or when there's loneliness, or when there's nothing there. And we really could be a lot better to each other. That's what it makes me think.
I agree with that. I agree with, like, I think we do need to be kind of like better human beings to each other. I mean, we always say that, but it'll never happen, unfortunately. Maeve,
Yeah.
thoughts,
So
feelings?
many thoughts. I'm listening to everyone's comments, going, I've had these thoughts too, especially around Nora and just how things were, and just touching on what Melvin was saying before with regards to a mask as a persona. And I think we were seeing her as who she was, 100%. The problem is we see her as a source of strength, a woman who is powerful, who is also an educator, podcaster, whatever. And when you are living this life and people see you in a certain way, that persona becomes a mask that you wear 24/7, which you are never allowed to remove, take off, or show another side to. And I'm hoping she in her life has had that opportunity. Um, but I don't know. With that though, I know just conversations she and I had after around things, even leading up to before I started being a mod on her channel when she was still doing that. We had decent conversations. She discussed how some of the things she was dealing with, which is a lot of bullshit harassment that a lot of female practitioners or streamers or whatever the case is, anyone in the social media space deals with this bullshit. I even foresee some of the bullshit. We've seen it. The Lilith sacrifice messages through social media, Instagram, all that shit. All of that is a weight and something to deal with. And you still have to wear your mask and you still have to do what you have to do, I guess. But even being able to manage it on a day-to-day basis, after a while, it takes its toll. Everything can. So I can see where she was changing. She went from being primarily YouTube to Patreon and so on and cutting things back, which made sense, taking a break, stepping back. But yeah, I'm not sure what else to say from there, but I can see sort of how things can impact someone slowly over time. And if you don't have this ability to take off that mask, remove that expectation that others who really should have no power over you, I'm not saying that they did, but in general now, if you don't have that ability to just duck away and recover, recoup, yeah, it can do serious harm, I think, long term.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is like, I mean, like I said, I mean, I had limited interactions with Anima, but like, I did know that, like, the life that she was leading in the United States wasn't exactly the most stable. I know for a fact that she was bouncing around all over the place. She would find some place to settle down, then get kicked out, or circumstances would change, and she'd have to move on to go someplace else. And there's been a couple of times that she had mentioned she didn't have any options. Then found out through Melvin, she got deported. I guess she went to Prague from there. Melvin is what you said, and then from there she went to Australia.
Yep.
And left Australia. And she said, what, Southeast Asia?
Southeast Asia.
So, at the end of the day, I mean, all of that moving around wasn't because, it doesn't sound like it was like because she wanted to it. It sounded like because she felt like she needed to. Like, it almost felt like she was kind of trying to find, okay, where do I fit in? And,
how do I find stability?
That's gonna be my cigarettes.
Yeah. Just reminded me of something. I think I've talked about her on here before. Mel Robbins, she's a like psychiatrist, psychologist to the stars or whatever. But one of the things that she said that has stuck with me for many years is the difference between fitting in and belonging. And I think a lot of times we struggle to try to fit in, meaning we have to adapt ourselves to squeeze into a system that's not appropriate for us, when really we need people on us that we belong, where they just let you into that space. And I've seen a lot of her stuff, but being directly with her, I don't know how true this is, but it seemed like a lot of times she was trying to fit in, and not finding that space for belonging can be really tough.
That's just so strange to me at times, just thinking about that, because talking to her, the way we interacted, and we sent random voice messages talking about whatever was going on. it's totally different. Like how she was and how she felt, how she saw things didn't always get portrayed properly, I think, in the content she made as well. I'll leave it like that.
Yeah, she was a mystery, a vortex mystery. We'll just say that. But I agree with what Mystic was saying about fitting in, because I think overall everyone wants to find their quote unquote people. Everyone wants to be accepted to a certain degree, not necessarily by some jerk off somewhere. Like they could fall off a cliff, but you want to be accepted for who you are, what you do, without any worry of judgment. And with her, that's really, she, we spoke about it a few times, her and I, and it's interesting because at one point she was looked towards, and people still went to her for whatever reasons, but the occult community, or at least a part of the occult community, they did accept her, but then she was shunned. And I don't think she mentally recovered from that. How do you go from people liking you one minute, respecting you, to nothing? You're a dry dog turd, essentially. How do you cope with that? Not everyone can say, fall off a cliff, I don't really care. I mean, we can say it, but we don't necessarily mean it. And as big of a grouch and crab as I can be with not being around people, I do like certain people. And I have folks that I can speak to and go to. But did she? A lot of the people that she interacted with, she didn't bond with them. At least this is what she told me. The bond wasn't created. And this is going to sound bad because I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but she used certain people for survival, which I understand, but she never bonded and created that friendship and let it go from there. She was like in survival mode. And I think that played a part in everything, because when you're in survival mode, you're going to do whatever it takes to survive, whatever it takes to live. And again, it's just one of those draining things. And she never was able to relax or get out of that survival mode. Or if she was able to relax, it was for a very brief moment, like when she was in Australia. When I spoke to her when she was over there, it was about a couple of months where she was so happy, had a man, nice neighborhood. She was like, yeah, I'm digging it. I don't know what went wrong, but seeing her out of that survival mode for a moment, it was nice. It was like, okay, I dig this, or she digs it, somebody digs it. And then going right back into it in another freaking foreign country. It's like, what the heck, man?
Yeah, I mean, we moved to Mexico in May of this year, and obviously that's like where you've been for the last almost 2 decades. But for me, I lived in the UK my whole entire life, and even like moving country with my partner was difficult, was isolating, is isolating. It's a difficult transition to make when you pick up and start from scratch. And I don't know, would I describe it as like a trauma? Maybe, especially if it's an urgent thing, having to do that, having to uproot yourself like that. It's not good for the mind. I also want to touch on something that May said about you know, the harassment and things like that, like being, do you describe maybe like a public figure, I suppose? Like, or yeah, like it's savage. Like the response that you get from saying something, if it's misinterpreted or anything like that, you know, it can be weeks, months of just people being vile. Like, I've had it myself, and you know, sometimes, like of late, especially like throughout my pregnancy, I just give you my phone, because I wouldn't want to deal with it. It's a really difficult thing to deal with, and I think that, you know, people have just become way too fucking bold behind a screen, and it's people really need to check their behavior and not be so fucking disgusting. It's because it's really damaging. It's so damaging, and like people forget that, like
a real person.
You're talking to a real person that, you know, has a life that's not what you see. Like, we all have ideas of people. Like, we don't know the people that, like, we might watch on YouTube, for example. We don't know them personally. We've built this idea of who they are in our head, but you're seeing like 1% of them, and you're forgetting that, you know, they're a human being, and that they have feelings. So yeah, I do.
I agree.
I do wish that people weren't so vile.
It's hard being in the public eye, putting yourself in the public eye, right? Making that choice, you know, to put out content, you know, because mistakes can be made, right? You know, I have actually just recently made the decision that I've put Christ is King on my banned list of comments on my channel. They won't get through, and people get automatically removed from the channel. Also, other types of words that are used, you know, to attack me. If somebody's not having a conversation and attacking me in the comments, I'm just removing them. I used to leave those comments because I never wanted to be accused of censoring people's opinions. But sorry, guys.
Like, the other day, I got a message calling me like a useless cunt because there was a miscommunication about a service that they had purchased, and they made this assumption. And I get this message calling me a useless cunt. And I'm just like, I just sort of sit there for a minute, and I just think, like, what the fuck? Like, what makes you think that's okay? And it's just like, I'm still, you know, I'm like 3 weeks postpartum, and like still quite like emotionally vulnerable, and like people just don't think about that shit, you know. People don't think about what's going on for people.
They don't. My decision to do with the channel is because, you know, I don't want to sacrifice my mental health for my channel. I just don't. And I feel like that's the direction that's going, because the negative comments affect you more than the positive ones do. Like, it just does. Like, when you get those negative, it hurts. It does hurt, because you do put a lot of work into this stuff. You know, and I know Anima put a lot of work into it. I mean, for fuck's sake. I mean, when she was going live, I mean, it was, here, let's give me your mom's cigarettes. Let me get through.
Okay.
I just, like, I want to add to that just quick. I think it's interesting to say that you're going, like, to censor it. I don't really see that as censoring. It's more of barrier management. But on top of it, for me, going into another group, when I first went into Malice's Twitch, you know, going into a community and seeing somebody like, I'm not going to stand or allow this to be said in my chat. It's not, you know, censor it. That empowers other people who are watching to say, you know, I don't have to allow that either. So I think it's more than just, you know, for your own mental health. It's great. It's a good reason to do it, but it makes a statement to the rest of the people who come in. I mean, we ban very rarely, I think, in our in this show, in this chat, very rarely But when we do, it's really to point out, point is you can't troll here. You can't speak to people that way here. And I will be the first to admit it. I am also more brave on the internet than I am in person. I will absolutely dress you down quicker on the internet than I will in person because I can't fight. You'll kick my ass. That's just going to happen. I mean, maybe I carry to protect myself, so I might have that on my side. But point being that there's something behind that, and I think I don't remember ever, and I don't know, you guys, like I said, some of you know her a lot more than I do. I don't ever remember her talking like just absolutely ill of somebody. Like I've never.
Well,
I mean, in public, in private, we won't
yeah.
talk, right? I just mean in like her Instagram or in her stuff. I never heard her inciting things to happen or to be aggressive. I'm sure it happens in private. Everybody does that.
Well, there was a couple of times, but
I know some actions she did incited some things, which
yeah, no,
people make mistakes.
it was some things that she started. Two things that I recall, and I understand why it happened because she was lied to initially, and then people get angry and they say stuff, and then it snowballed from there. But she's not completely clean, but there were some stuff. And as far as talking tough on the internet and everything, I don't think I've ever done that. I think I've always just been my weird, goofy self, and I'm pretty lenient with a lot of stuff. Most things don't bother me, and I'll speak with someone about it and say, "Hey, you're being a jerk. Cut it off or cut it out." And so I never really banned anyone. So that's kind of, it's interesting to hear you guys say that because I don't know. I just
also, it's very difficult to not like you.
Oh, well, I appreciate that.
That's true.
I mean, I think anyone that doesn't like you is actively trying to not like you. I don't like.
Yeah.
But I wanted to comment on kind of like what you are saying there, and kind of finish my statement from before. With the work that we put into things. Somebody mentioned Devil's Disciples, and that's kind of like what I was talking about. I mean, that stuff was all over my feed. Like she had those things planned out like weeks ahead of time. That takes a lot of work. And, despite I understand that like, for example, Melvin, when you're talking about like how it was like, he wasn't exactly, an innocent little angel, in the community, but at the same time, I feel like people on the internet don't respect that line of pushing people to a dangerous limit. Like in the effect of what Dyra said, like we're real people. You don't know what people are dealing with. You don't know what they're going through. And so regardless of how piece of shit somebody could be, in your view, and I'm not saying that that's what you're saying. I'm just saying that, like, in general, they'll think like if you don't like somebody, then just leave them the fuck alone. Like, don't watch their content. Don't engage with their content. Like, there's no necessity to try to push somebody, into feeling like shit because of what they're making or because you disagree with them.
But that's what they do it for. That's why they do it. Guaranteed.
Oh yeah,
they want to
100%.
see your reaction.
Yeah, but
like
the problem
even
sometimes the reaction is somebody ends their life.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. like one of the comments I'm looking back at our Instagram conversations right now because I've actually pulled them up just because I had things in my head, and this is just sort of triggering some thoughts. She had said at one point to me, this is back in December of 2024. You're correct about the drama crowd. Many are watching for the wrong reasons, just feeding off of the emotional stirring. So whatever they're doing, or they're waiting for something to be stirred, or maybe they're even going around people's backs and causing things to occur between person A and person B to make it come out on a stream or wherever the case is, and then they have their entertainment because they see the drama, they see the impact, and the person is giving that attention now. So now they're emboldened. I don't know. It's bullshit.
It is like 100%. And I mean, I see it with Dyra's channel all the time when she uploads stuff, like whether it's her channel or Instagram or something like that. There's always somebody coming in trying to start something, you know. Again, I'll just repeat, like being online, putting yourself online is not, it isn't for the faint of heart. It really isn't. Like, I mean, it seems like a lot of people look at this like, you know, this us doing stuff online and stuff like that, especially if we, like, one of us becomes successful, you know, and they just see that, you know, and they don't see what goes behind it. They don't see the stress, the struggle, the doubt, the, you know, the self-doubt, you know, the constantly questioning yourself and whether or not, like, is this relevant content? Is this irrelevant content? Is how people are going to receive this? You know, then if you are in a situation like Anima was, you know, you're not just worried about your content, but you're also worried about where you're going to fucking live, you know, where you're going to eat, you know, you're getting, then, you know, he was like trying to hide under the radar, you know, because, you know, she overstayed her visa in the States. So, you know, she's paranoid about that, you know, then you get deported, then, you know, yeah, I mean, and who knows what the hell happened in Australia, you know, from what Melvin said, she was happy for a couple of months, but, you know, you reach a limit and then you don't know where to go.
My head just went, she probably saw a spider. I was like, oh, fuck no. Like, that'd be me.
That'd be
That'd be-
Well, that's understandable. That's like one of the only places where everything there is out to kill you. So
Literally. I mean, what I like observed with her as well is that like she was quite feisty in the sense that like if she got shit, she'd give shit back. She would respond to it up until the point where she kind of stepped back from social media. And I think that's kind of like a boundary that like you need to think about if you know you're getting harassed. Basically it's kind of like, where's the line of like stepping back and where's the line of like defending yourself and speaking up for yourself, because that can also be like extremely draining, especially because like you're not really going to get anywhere with people online. And so yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, I know for me, like I fucking hate bullies.
Same.
I'm like, where I was like bullied when I was younger, I couldn't stand up for myself. I'm very sort of like passionate about standing up for myself now, but that is also really taxing energy wise, and you know it increases like it just gives me so much like restlessness and anxiety, and it's just not fucking worth it a lot of the time.
Yeah. So it's just, I mean, it just isn't. And, you know, and then with female content creators that are also cultists, unfortunately, you know, yeah, your guys' channels grow significantly faster than probably most men, but there is a trade-off, a sacrifice for that isn't fair, because most of the people that are growing your channel aren't people that are there for your content. They're there for other reasons that they shouldn't be there for. And it puts you guys in a position where it's like, you won't work, for example, you won't work with men anymore.
Mm.
You know, like
Not without you, in the sense of like like direct one-on-one mentorship or anything like that. I won't do it.
You know, and it's just it's disgusting. It's disgusting that, like, I mean, you were fucking brilliant. Like, I mean, you did that talk in Glastonbury. You had the most people out of all of those talks. Like, you filled, like, people were sitting on the fucking floor to listen to you, and you get these dumbasses online that like follow you, like, oh, you're fucking hot. Like, it's just shut the fuck up, you dumbass. Like, you know, and it's like, like it pisses me off so fucking much because it's like you're brilliant. And like, I mean, Anima had so much to give. And yeah, I mean, she might not have gotten along with everybody, but you know, again,
A question for you guys.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How do you relieve your stress from the online thing and all the comments and apart from just telling someone to go somewhere, like, because it sounds like you go into deep thought about it, and I know sometimes people will hold on to things and ask themselves, why would you say this, or why come here, like you mentioned earlier. So how do you just de-stress from that, reset, and not let it beat you down so much to where you're ready to choke someone out?
I feel like we're still learning how to do that.
Honestly, for me, I still don't know how to stress from that. I think having a baby kind of helped, which was like a complete distraction, like absorbing all of my attention. I think the last thing I actually responded to was like a few hours before I gave birth, because someone decided that I was a fascist or something and like put it on their fucking story. And I was
Whoa.
like, hi. Like imagine harassing a pregnant woman like this, like you're fucking weird for that. Anyway, so I genuinely think it's about focusing on what's actually fucking important in your life and just
I think discipline is like a big thing in it.
definitely and just I don't know, like what you said about putting the filter on your comment section for the sake of like your own sanity, because you know, I mean, like we bitch about it to each other, like whenever we get shit, and sometimes we'll kind of like, I don't know, defend each other, but that I don't think that's always productive either.
No, it's not.
Because especially you just end up in like these like wars in my comment section.
I do.
Yeah, I think we're still definitely trying to.
I think the important thing is like I said, it's discipline, and it's knowing your online life isn't life, it's an outlet. And so we make these things, we make these videos, we make this content, we put it out. I've automated a lot of my content publishing. I don't do it directly anymore. I run it through a service, and then it gets put out, and then I don't even look at the comments. And sometimes I'll go through, I'll check, I'll look, but like I barely respond or go through. It's because everyone, like, it's true what they say. Like, I mean, opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, you know, and everyone can be one. And so it's just like, it's not, I've never wanted an echo chamber, but then I've also learned that the comment section is not the place to have these conversations. It's this is the place to have the conversation. And once that conversation's over, that's it. Like I'm done. I'm disconnected. And I mean, I have a family that I need to worry about. I can't be worrying about what everyone thinks of me, you know, because it doesn't matter. The only people that matter to me or what they think of me are in this house, you know. So yeah, I mean, there's a few select people outside that are in, like, I would consider inner circle. You know who you are, you know. And if you're offended by me saying that, then you're probably not in the inner circle. Like, you know, it's that simple.
The circle of trust, and from like Meet the Parents. Now you just gotta milk a cat, and we'll be good.
I've milked a cat before.
I have nipples, Maeve. Can you milk me?
Okay, that was fun.
If you really want me to, if it's your kink, I'm not going to shame it.
But
don't yuck somebody's yum.
Am I sad that Anima's passed away? I think anyone that comes to that point in their life where they feel like the only way out is ending it is something to mourn. regardless of who
Mhm.
that person is. And it's something important that I think that in the occult community, this is one of the things I keep talking about. God, I've talked about this for 6 fucking years. Because I started this channel, just got a fucking notification on YouTube that's like, "Yeah, it's your 6-year anniversary." It's like, oh, thanks. So I've been talking about this shit for 6 years, like the whole occult unification thing. Like, it's not about belief, but it's like we have a common ground. We have something that ties us together. What the fuck is the point of fighting with each other and making each other feel like shit? What's the point? Like,
There isn't
if not
one.
for any other reason, why can't we just be supportive of each other? Like, for fuck's sake, I mean, I don't give a shit what you believe in. I don't care. Like, I'm like, your opinions, whatever, like, that's you, go for it. But, is it so goddamn difficult to support another fucking human being? Is it really that goddamn hard? Or just keep your mouth shut? Like, if you don't want to support somebody, then fucking don't. Just shut the fuck up. Like, why is it so fucking difficult for people to do this? Like, I really don't get it. Like, I really don't understand. I never will. Never going to change. I know it won't change, but
Because it has nothing to do
I'll
with the
never
cult.
understand it.
This is human behavior. This isn't occult behavior.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why it's. I think it's. I've always said I think it's getting better. I think people are, as a whole, as we get back to having discussions like this, it's a reminder of how to re-engage each other and how we can really, make some kind of progress. But it's the human nature to do that, and it's also human nature to lump people together. It's human nature to be hurt when people say something negative about you because their version of you is not the version of you that you have, and that's always going to be true. I learned the hard way about my Facebook and all that stuff. It has there. Facebook is not me, and I don't know how people become their entire, like your Facebook, your TikTok, your Twitter, whatever. Those become like your entire life and your personality. Like it's consuming, and it's easy to get into that. But then you realize like it's literally just 1% of who I am. I like to share memes. I should not be engaging the platform I share memes of cats doing stupid things as a way to gauge how my life is running. Like that's not the same level. Like I don't know why we do that. Um, but we do. We gauge ourselves a lot in general based off of that thing because we're afraid of being who we are in person, or we're afraid to. People are increasingly anxious about being in front of other people or talking to other people without being behind something. It's just the world hasn't adjusted to the way things are now, and we I don't know. I feel like we have a duty to kind of have this conversation more often,
I
not just
agree.
when something happens.
And I think another thing, like the way that Dyra and I handle our online life with our IRL life, is something that is, I mean, that's kind of like it's in real life, right? So
Life.
but the way that we manage it, I think, is probably the healthiest way to manage it, in the sense that for those people out there that think that you know who we are, you don't. Like, you see one facet of who we are as people, something that we believe in, but you don't know who we are. Like, I go to sleep with this woman. I wake up in the morning with this woman. I make this woman a cup of coffee in the morning. I feed her breakfast. We sit down and we have meals together. We have children that we raise. You don't know who we are. What you see here, it is us. We are authentic. We are real. And we share real experiences that we have had in the theme that we talk about, but you do not know who we are. Do not think or pretend that you do, because you don't. And you never will. And that is how we like it. We have this aspect of ourselves that no one sees. Our life isn't online. Practice is, but not our life. That's ours. That belongs to us. And those that deserve to be a part of it, you're a part of it. Everyone else, have fun guessing, because you'll never know. And that's how we like it. And that's how I think it should be. Because that ties in exactly what Mystic is saying. Too many people try to make social media their entire life. or show their entire life on social media, and it's not healthy.
Yeah, you don't have 1,000 friends. Like that friend counter there. That's not what that means.
Oddly enough,
What?
do you think that sometimes people are attacked because they actually don't share their personal lives, and there is that hidden side that folks, like you were saying, legit don't know about? And that's interesting because now we're coming to a place where it's like, no, this, like, what is the other side of you? I'm actually annoyed that you're hiding it. And
People are curating things, right?
yeah,
They curate your online existence.
so that's
Well, I mean, the
interesting.
thing is like I've been very careful over the years to not use my real name online.
Which is Marquise Von Davis, everyone.
Exactly.
Hey, Marquise.
So, my government name doesn't exist online, and that's very intentional. My Facebook profile doesn't use my real name. It is nowhere online, and that's highly intentional. And the way that Dyra and I do things, it is specifically designed for insulation. Like, people want to know. Yeah, of course people want to know, right? But that's the thing. You don't deserve to, and you won't. And that insulates us from the bullshit and the drama that happens online. And the thing is I've always been very careful, and I've even given her instructions, like when we do selfies, when we take pictures and stuff like that, we're very specific of where we take the pictures, how we take the selfies. Why? So people can't put things together to figure out where we are, who we are, what we're doing, stuff like that. We're very intentional about everything that we put online. And it's that simple, because unfortunately things like this can happen where somebody gets a little too obsessed, people make comments, stuff like that. Like, you need to insulate yourself from this. You need to protect your mental health. It's like Behemoth X was in here for a minute ago at the beginning of the show. I don't know if he's still here, but there's something that man says at the end of every video he does, and I firmly believe in it. And it is, protect your kingdom. And no truer words have ever been spoken from anyone. That should be your primary objective in your life, throughout your entire life, is to protect your kingdom. So I'm very, the Anima Noira thing. Yeah, the occult community really did lose somebody that had a lot to give to it. And it should never get to that. It really shouldn't. And I know I've said this a million times. If anyone in the community is struggling with anything, obviously, there are numbers that can be called. I don't know them off the top of my head. Somebody wants to drop those in the chat, sure, if you can find them for wherever you're located. But also, reach out to us. We'll talk to you. If you're struggling with something, we'll talk to you. Like, I think it's funny though with Mystic. Mystic says he doesn't like the whole pull yourself up from your bootstraps thing, but like when he talks to somebody in a mental health crisis, he's very much pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
There's a lot more context than that, and I have absolutely never will, and will never allow anybody. That is a barrier for me. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps does not work. Never use it. It is the most terrible phrase that's ever existed in the world.
Fair enough. I mean, not in a literal sense. No, you've never used that phrase, but
no, I will not say it, and I will never ever tell anybody anything remotely like that. It is not up to somebody who is in a bad spot to pull themselves out of it. That's the worst thing you can say.
Fair. Oh, and I agree.
It's like
I agree with you.
Yeah, we fought over it before because you like that phrase and I don't.
Very much so. Very much so.
But you're using it in a different context too, just for everybody else.
Yes,
true. That we're not talking about this topic,
exactly.
right? When we're really talking about that, so
not. But the point is that I know for a fact that myself and Mystic and probably a lot of other people in the community, if you're struggling with something, well, listen, we're not mental health professionals. We can't diagnose you or anything like that, but we'll listen, and hopefully that'll be enough to get you to a point where you can get the help that you need. And I know we say that a lot. Like that's said a lot, like a lot of places, like a lot of people say that. And I know it's hard to reach out when you're having a problem. Fuck, I mean, with Dyer and I, like when I'm struggling with something, it's difficult for me sometimes to talk to her. And I have to kind of force the conversation to happen.
I think a lot of times it's even more than that, right? It's more than, and I can't speak for everybody, and I know that hopefully this rings true, but a lot of times you just want to be heard. There's no need for advice, no need for, fix what's broken with somebody. You just want to know that somebody's listening to you and hearing what you're saying. That's been my experience when I was in those situations personally, and with others around me who have been in those situations. There's no right words, there's no fixing it, there's no talk to me, we're going to fix your problems, but we listen.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Oftentimes people, they will say, you hear me, but you're not hearing me. And, sometimes it's just good to have an ear to spit mess out at, just blah, 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 whatever it may be. And yeah, you don't need to be Freud. You don't want to be Freud. He was a freak, but you can't. Well, he was, all right. Not wrong.
It's accurate.
But you can't be whatever psychologist is around or psychiatrist. But, sometimes being a friend is just lending an ear and just being there, even if it's in silence. Silence says a lot if you're just there for someone. Like, you don't have to speak. I got your back, and then on the opposite side of things, sometimes it's hard for people to open up because you don't want to put your worries, your negative energy, or your troubles on someone else because they might be going through their own thing. And now you're dumping extra on them because, you're going through something, when the truth is we all go through mess. And like you were saying earlier, we really should be there for one another more, and we're not. And I honestly don't think that's ever going to change, but it can improve. It's not going to change completely, but it can improve. And I just want to say, like, you guys helped me out going through my mess, like, seriously, and you didn't have to do that. And it's something I appreciate, and I kind of wish we were all just able to open up more and not be embarrassed if we're going through things, or if we are embarrassed, oh well, we got to slap ourselves a few times, get over it, and just talk about our issues, ask for help. Even if you can't physically ask, I don't know, throw up a gang sign or something, just do whatever.
I was thinking this.
Whatever it takes, just say, hey, I need a teddy bear, whatever, just.
What is, shoot, what is that guy's name? Simon Sinek Isn't he isn't it the 7 minutes? Like, do you have 7 minutes? That's his thing that he tells his friends. If you need something, just say, "Hey, you got 7 minutes."
Yeah, so you know, now when you say that, I think of 7 minutes in heaven. So,
So, if you don't
but
know, Simon Sinek is like a very motivational speaker, like amazing, like for groups and stuff. And he talks about how to like be there. And he's like, talks about his friend who kept coming to him for help, but she didn't say, "I need help." She just said, "Hey, you got a few minutes?" And he just kept saying, "No, no." But she would have told me if something was wrong, and she never did because her way of saying something was wrong was, "Do you have time for me? Do you have a few minutes for me?" And he ignored her. So he's like, now he tells all his friends, like, if you tell me I need 7 minutes, that means you need me, and I'm there. Everything else stops. For that 7 minutes, everybody can give 7 minutes to somebody.
I like
That's
that.
important to. It's
Yeah.
important to remember that we all communicate differently in different ways. Some less verbal, some more stupid puns or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's hard to really pick up on different social cues. I know that from experience. Period. But I know how I communicate is different than every single person here on this video. So there's that. But at the same time, I am the first person to listen, regardless. And I think that to mirror what Mel was saying is we need to have that ability to stop and listen, and just allow someone that space to vent, to connect, and that's the best gift I think we can give anyone. And I think it'll make a lot of difference, especially in these spaces.
yeah, I have to vanish for 2 minutes real quick. Although you guys might be done if I come back. I don't know, but I'm gonna vanish for 2 minutes.
So
What'd you say?
we are going to end. This is
Oh
like,
well.
yeah.
Never mind my 2 minutes.
So
We'll give you 5.
you have any closing thoughts or ideas you want to add?
I just think it's important that even if we feel like we need to deal with things alone, or we think we are perfectly capable of dealing with things on our own, as human beings, we need connection. And yeah, we're not meant to be isolated. So,
Yeah.
uh-huh.
So yeah, I definitely agree with that. And again, I mean, this was kind of reaching out to people that need to know that they can reach out and discuss something that was drastically shocking for our community, regardless of how questionable the surrounding circumstances are. But that is going to be it. All right. So thank you all for coming. You guys are fucking amazing. This has been Apocrypha, and as always, hail thy fucking self. We'll see you in the next one. Peace the fuck out.
Deuce.